Welcome to the Make and Design Podcast. I'm your host, Carina Gardner. On this podcast, we're unraveling the everyday joys and dilemmas of design, making, and business. For makers who want to be designers and for designers who are makers, this is your inside scoop to help you grow your business and bring more creativity to your life.
So it's the fall, and kids are starting to think about going back to school, or maybe dreading it, maybe a little bit of both. And for the first time ever, I have a college student, which is super crazy. So this summer, I got to go to a new orientation with her, and we're just sitting down, listening to all the stuff. I mean, I was a college professor, so I understand how the college system works. And it's been a solid, 20 years since, since I was teaching. Maybe not 20 years, maybe 15 years ago. Don't make me do the math. It's a long time ago. And so this is the first time I've really sat down at an orientation and kind of seen what was going on in the college system at this time. And I really had a lot of thoughts, especially since I started Design Suite a little over a year ago, and I've really been thinking about new approaches to education and thinking a lot about how I like to be educated. I love podcasts. I'm so glad you're here listening to my podcast or on YouTube listening. I learn a lot on YouTube as well. I'm in a mastermind because I believe in community, and I love building relationships because they really have propelled me in a way I never thought they would. So I am a big believer in that now. And as I get older, just how I approach education in such a different way than I did back when I was 18 to 27, which are the years that I was in college. A lot longer, I'm hoping, than you. It was a lot of college. And I just really started thinking about the new approach to education. And even as my daughter is going into college, I think it's a great place still, really a great place for kids between 18 and 24, because I think it helps them transition into adulthood. But I almost think of it more as a transition place, not an educational place, because they're teaching them skills that are also life skills that are happening at the same time. And then that really led me to thinking about my program and what we do in Design Suite and how we approach education. And the crazy thing is, for a lot of college students, college is mandatory for their parents, right? Sometimes it's mandatory, just like high school is mandatory, right? For some college students, it's optional. They don't have to go if they don't want. And I started thinking about how, Design Suite or any other program that we take just for the fun of it for ourselves, it has to be different than the college education system. I have created 17 courses that are, in my opinion, university level courses. That means they give you step-by-step instructions. They gear you towards making great design work. My hope is that it brings you a stronger self and confidence, because you're going to be able to think and act and behave like a designer. But at the same time, it's do-it-yourself style, right? Even though if you're in my mastermind program, it is still, you get to do it in the order you want to do it. We give you some guidance on what order we think will help you, but you get to do it how you want to do it. And in our meetings, it's far more geared towards the individual versus the degree program, right? Like, I'm really concentrated on, has Lisa done what she needs to do to move forward? Has Asia done what she needs to do to move forward? Has Diane done what she needs to do to move forward? And it's such a different approach than when I was a professor, when I had to hand out grades and make sure everyone's on a curve and make sure everybody was turning in their stuff. I don't make sure everybody's turning in their stuff, right? Like, it's so self-guided at the same time as we try to make it as fun, as useful, as practical as possible so that our designers are moving forward faster, which that's why we're able to condense it into a year versus a 4-year college program. And I say a year. The coursework will take you 2 to 3 years. The mentorship piece of it will take a year. And of course, we have a monthly program. Most of our members just stay in monthly because they love the inside scoop, and we give a highly discounted rate to just stay in monthly and keep getting coaching. So I just think education has changed. And I think it's going to continue to change. And I've been really fascinated because, for me, my program is really geared for people who are 45 to 65. That's originally who I was gearing for. But over the year, we have a 19-year-old in the program. We have someone in their 20s. We have some people in their 30s. And we've attracted these different people because they don't want to go to college. They don't want that traditional method. They are looking for a new approach, one that's really more geared towards them, something more personal that they can control. And I think there's a ton of power in that. I think I'm really loving the way education is being approached today because it is so self-guided. It is more motivated by the individual, and you really get to do what you want to do, which, let's just face it, makes it easier to want to do, right? It's easier to do the education piece if it's exciting to learn, if you're choosing the thing that is super fun. My oldest daughter last year, she did do the community college at the same time as high school, and she took a calligraphy class, and she loved going to that calligraphy class, and she just thought it was like the best class she'd ever taken. And I think about that for even my coursework. Design on Fire is based on my graphic design foundation class. If you ever asked any of my university students if they were just like in love with graphic design foundations, I think they would tell you the answer is a big fat no. They weren't like, yes, graphic design foundations, they weren't doing that, which is so funny because it's the opposite reaction I get in Design Suite. People rave about Design on Fire. And I feel like I've talked about Design on Fire a lot in the last few podcast episodes. It must be on my mind. But people rave about that class. And I was just thinking about how I made it more fun because it's more geared towards crafting designers, surface pattern designers. It's not general. It's very, very specific on how we become great designers and understand design vocabulary and look at history and the movements and how exciting it is. The same with, so I do some crazy things in Design Suite that we don't really talk about very much. There's all sorts of things in Design Suite that we can't really go over. You come in and you're kind of like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I had no idea that this is the thing that we are doing. But one of the things I have is I do these field trips on Marco Polo, and I take people with me to museums. The whole Design Suite, you can follow it, and they come and they get to watch what we're doing, and it is so fun. The first one I did was called a field trip to Paris, and last March I took all of Design Suite with me to Paris, and we talked a lot. I took them to lots of museums, but of course I took them to the d'Orsay so that we could really talk about Toulouse-Lautrec, because he is one of the figures in design that really transitions us from like regular fine art to commercial art. And so just being able to show my designers some of these really cool things, like it brings design education to a place where it's really fun. It's exciting. The art history piece matters to the design piece that we're doing today. And it's just design in real life. And I really love that. And it's really fun. It's just a totally different experience than the traditional college class where we have to get an A and we're working really hard, but we're just worried about our grade. And now the grade is how much fun can you have? How much money can you make? How much can you up level? What manufacturers can you get into? What shops can you get into? Someone in Design Suite just said they got into a specific shop that's very hard to get into, and it was so exciting. We were all there for it. It was so exciting. And so I think that is the difference, and the new approach that we're seeing in I think in all fields of study, because I take courses online and I'm part of mastermind groups as well. And the education bit is just way more exciting to me than, when I was going to college. Now, if you think I am saying no to college. I am not. Those of you who have been with me for long enough know, like, if you wanted to go to college, I would be there for it. I'd be like, yes, you should. It's an amazing experience, a great transition experience. But for many of us, it's really not the right experience at whatever, at the time in our lives that we are in. And it doesn't really get us the thing that we are really looking for, which is not an A. Most of us don't really care about the A, right? We want to get the A because it shows something about us. It shows that we're successful. It shows that we're doing the right things, right? So really, this new approach to design education, or all education, really is all about how do we grow? What is it that's going to make us grow as an individual, make us more skillful, and bring us a lot of joy? And that is always my hope. For those of you who come into a design boot camp, my hope is that you get a lot from that. But those of you who transition into my Design Suite program, that really, that's the power right there, that you're getting it right there. All of that power at one go. So I love that. I love the way that education is now reaching everyone in different ways. And if you are interested in a little more education, my design boot camp is very inexpensive. We keep it really, really cheap because we want to teach you some core principles about design strategy that no one out there is teaching, based on real life experience, mine, and why we teach the way we do in Design Suite, because we just think that we can provide an amazing experience for those of you who are willing to invest in yourself and take it to the next level.
Hey, did you know that you can visit me at makeanddesign.com to learn more about this podcast and join my VIP group for weekly freebies? I can't wait to see you there.